Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Final Whistle Weekly, where we probe the mysteries of that fickle mistress we call football. How can we lose to the Shrews and then make Brum look humdrum? Who knows? Maybe we'll work it out tonight. I am joined by Andy Parkinson and Bill Long. Gentlemen, how are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Recovering from last night.
Absolutely. That was intense, wasn't it, Bill? The noise in the racecourse was something else.
It was, yeah, it was intense. We'll get into it, but the crowd went from, I think, really quiet to really loudly rather than it being constant. But when it went, it was impressive, wasn't it?
Yeah, it certainly was. Like us, we were intense in the second half, weren't we? I used to work in a campsite, but it burnt down. The heat was intense. Right, hello everyone. I'm Mark Griffiths. Please tip your waitress, and after this, we'll get fully final whistle weeklying. You know what I nearly called it then, don't you? Well, it was the night that was Birmingham. We've been waiting for this for a while. I think it's fair to say, gentlemen, that it lived up to expectations, didn't
Yeah, so close
it? we
to a win.
we were the way they played against us at Birmingham is the one time, well, frankly, since Parkinson's been in charge, and I think I'd count games against high division teams where we looked outclassed. And the thing that really pleases me about our performance is that in the first half, you could see that same Birmingham side. There was a lot of quality about them, but this time we lived with them. And in commentary, Andy Morel was saying a few times, surely Andy Parkinson, Phil Parkinson, promotion there, Andy. Phil Parkinson will have said to them, you showed him too much respect at St Andrews. Get at him. And my goodness me, we did that in the second half, didn't we?
It was just luck that kept it in it. And I think for me, the one thing that stuck in my mind was that 86-minute substitution by Birmingham.
Mm.
Hmm.
That was
Well,
suddenly, right, we'll shut up shop and we'll have a point here and we'll wait for better days.
absolutely. I guess joking, obviously saying making Brum look humdrum, but Belby, we did, and I think Andy's absolutely right. For me, the two back-to-back substitutions that they make, Bielik coming on as a defender, an extra defender, and then Jokiewicz coming on. It seemed to me because he's a tall striker to defend at set pieces rather than to put him up the pitch and try and cause us any problems. They were shutting up shop. And there were a couple of points, weren't there, in added time where they managed to get out of their own penalty area and they just kept the ball. They weren't interested in going forwards because they were
Hmm.
fully aware that after the battering they'd taken in the second half, a point's a great result.
Can we just like park the actual big football talk for a second and just bask in the fact that we made a massive club like Birmingham City shut up shop
Yeah,
against us
yeah.
in League One after all the years of like nonsense that we've had in a league game as well, not a cup game
Yeah.
where we've jammily got our way through. We were actually playing these in a league game after only 2 years ago being in the National League. It's absolutely crazy, and to see the way their centre back, I can't remember his name. Was it? I think it was either Clara. I think it was
Yeah.
Clara. Yeah, fist pumping, proper. Really pleased that they got the draw. He went over to all the other defenders and patted them all on the back and big high fives and hugs and everything, and just shows how close we came to getting a point and
Mm.
uh, two more points. Sorry, and in a way, I'm a little bit disappointed, Andy.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm disappointed as well. And the final cross that came in that was just whiskers off Fletcher's head. It was deflected out. Actually, it wasn't Fletcher's fault. He was going to make contact with it until he got the deflection for the corner. It was a really, really classy defensive header actually
Mm.
to do that. But that was just the whole of that stand was just ready to explode if that he'd made contact with that.
Yeah.
But And then you look at McLean's effort as well. That is one of the best reflex saves I've seen, and it was just reflexes that kept it out.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking that, going back to Bill's point as well about Clara, that was one of the most outstanding performances I've seen at the racecourse by an opposition player in a long time. He was superb, I thought, the way that he got so many challenges and blocks in. He stopped so many potential goals. But firstly, yeah, Birmingham's outstanding player is a centre back fighting like hell in his penalty area. And secondly, that guy, A, cost 5 times more than our record transfer fee, and B, started over 30 games last season in the Bundesliga. I mean, that's a level
Wow.
of player that we're stretching to his limit. And I think that's fantastic. And fair play to Palmer, who people seem to have a very sort of black and white view of. He competed very well against the centre back of that caliber. But there were a lot of great performances out there, weren't there? I mean, hell's bells, Andy, like you say, McLean nearly scores. I thought he played very well, and after what he'd been through the day before and the whole week, I mean, hell's what character, what quality.
Yeah, and I suppose he's used to the abuse of the fans, but there was quite a lot as that, and he concentrated on the football as well. I think that's the best thing to do.
Yeah,
I
and
think I think it needs calling out a little bit, doesn't it? Some of the abuse, especially people who are sending his wife messages. I mean, come on, political differences and everything aside, and I understand it's a difficult topic that's not for a football podcast in a lot of ways, but sending his wife messages after he's flipped his car or whatever's happened, because it was in a lot of damage, that wasn't it? That's pretty heartless stuff, and people need to take a bit of a step back with the way that they speak to that family, because it's just, you don't have to agree with him, but just chill out.
well,
Yeah,
100%. I've always been a little wary of talking about that issue for the simple reason. I think it's nonsense when people say that politics and sport doesn't mix. It clearly does.
Mm,
But there's a lot of nuance about that situation, which we haven't got
yeah.
the platform to go into, frankly. But I think there are certain basics that you can absolutely state, and it is that when a guy is, like you said, I sort of saw the news and the tweet of that Wrexham put out, which didn't name him, and then immediately there's just all these vile comments underneath
Mm,
about McLean, and you think, oh, aren't you lot big? Isn't that clever
mm.
of you to, how brave to be hateful, hiding behind a pseudonym? Utterly pathetic behaviour, absolutely shocking, and yeah, well, all I can say is he did his talking where it mattered, because I thought he
Mm.
really stepped up to the plate against Birmingham and was impressive defensively. I mean, Wright is a good player, and he dealt with him, and Wright has to get subbed with 20 minutes left because he's not getting anywhere. And then going forwards, McLean, like you say, he had that effort which forced a great save. He ripped in the cross for Fletcher, fantastic defending. Oh, that's a goal. He had a good shot in the first half that was close. He was terrific, I thought.
It's hard to tell on the other end of the pitch, but was he involved in the build-up play for Rathbone's goal, which I mean was a pretty
Hmm.
beautiful sort of solo goal, but wasn't he? Would he be registered technically as the assist for that,
No, it's Palmer.
or was it
Palmer.
Palmer?
Palmer maybe fouled a player. Let's be honest. Ref didn't see it that way, and then Palmer just turned and he squared it. And then after that, it was all Ollie Rathbone's work. But
Yeah, I mean,
fabulous.
what a
He's
goal.
just consistently fantastic, Rathbone, isn't he? Blinking heck.
yeah.
I mean,
People were near me were saying that Lee was having a bad game, but I think it was more the way how good Birmingham's defence was. They were just marshalling him quite well. That
Mm.
Lee was actually working really quite hard, but he didn't get masses of opportunity. It was just because Birmingham were defending so well.
I thought he was in it a lot more in the second half, Lee. Um,
Mm.
I felt, you see, I have sometimes I feel that people put two and two together and make six. So recently, and with the Shrewsbury game, people, using the benefit of hindsight, were saying, "Oh, why are you playing Lee up there with a big striker?" Well, it's not as if it doesn't work. There have
Hmm.
been games this season where he has looked excellent in that role, not least a game where he got injured at Bristol Rovers. Until he got injured, he'd scored the only goal of the game, and he was absolutely running the match. And when we get that system working, it's extremely effective. Plus, okay, that's now 8 games that he started in that position, won 5, drawn 2, lost 1. Seems like quite a good return. The thing is, I think with hindsight, I don't think the first half went the way the first half went. Maybe we would have been better off with an orthodox striker alongside Palmer because he was creating quite a lot of loose balls around him that Lee wasn't quite as close as maybe Mullin would have been. But that's just how the game panned out. You can't really anticipate that. I think Lee up front playing off a striker is a perfectly legitimate tactic. And I agree with you, Andy, that in the second half, he partly because the gaps between our midfield and strikers wasn't much because we had them stuck in the penalty area. I thought he was effective and involved, and we could have left him on. To be honest, were it not for the fact that Dobson and Rathbone, the players he might have dropped back to replace, were busy playing out of their skins in the second half. I thought.
Mm. No, I thought the last 20 minutes of the first half, Birmingham probably edged it. But the last 20 minutes of the second half is just like one-way traffic. It's just like,
Hmm.
yeah, whatever. And the Birmingham goal, I didn't quite see it, but whether our keeper was fouled or not, I don't know.
There was a lot of argy-bargy in all the set pieces, wasn't there? I've got to admit, looking back today, the one where that big scramble in the goalmouth when Cleworth heads it, and you can't really tell. It gets blocked on the line by either the defender or the keeper. Oh, sorry, Fletcher heads it, and then comes out, and then Cleworth gets a touch onto it, and it's blocked on the line again. That big scramble. At the start of it, Rathbone is fouled. He's standing in front of the keeper, and the keeper grabs him with both shoulders and throws him into the net. Well, you can't do that, but well, the ref didn't see it. I guess it is difficult to spot. There was a
Yeah.
lot going on, wasn't there, from set pieces?
Yeah. And I don't know in the penalty area anymore. Perhaps it's more League One. When is a shirt pull or a push or a move a player out the way actually a foul? Because even a small shirt push in my book is a foul. But obviously, looking at last night, you're quite happy to push players. And to be fair, to both sides were doing it. It was
Yeah,
just that
absolutely.
sort of.
You didn't have that attitude
Uh,
when you were playing, Andy. I seem to recall you as more of an agent of destruction, but we'll pass over that. Honestly, Bill, it was terrifying, but it was acceptable in the 80s. Not in the sense you may be jumping to, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting. I'm having a look at the who scored ratings, which I don't always agree with what they put, but the stats based and it's what the league
Yeah.
used for their teams of the week and stuff like that. Their average rating is slightly higher at 6.74 and ours is 6.57. But we've got like quite an even spread. All of our players are like 6 or above, a few in the sevens. Ollie Rathbone 7.5, so he's our highest. Palmer 6.8, Dobson 7.0. O'Connor 7.0. Interestingly, O'Connor 7.0, but Cleworth 6.6, which is why I think these ratings are a bit obviously being on stats. It doesn't account for a lot of stuff. I don't think because Cleworth was close to being my man of the match, but Birmingham have uh, Clara's 7.9, Dykes is 8.1, but like a lot of the rest of the forward line are below 6, so they've obviously sort of like had an underperforming attack and a sort of
Mm.
disjointed aspect to their game, whereas we've been solid throughout. And it's just interesting that a lot of talk about how we need another striker, but like you're saying about the stats of how we've performed in these games,
Mm.
we're winning more than we're losing. We've lost once, and we've drawn against Birmingham using this formation. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe we're not that desperate for a striker.
Yeah. And as well, I can't believe in the second half of the season that our strikers won't score more than they have in the first half. I mean, Marius been injured, Mullins coming back from an injury. Uh, Fletcher appears to be fitter now than he was at the start of the season. His knee problem apparently is settled down. So yeah, to me, it makes sense that if it's just these strikers that we have, then We shouldn't panic. Well, I think we are. Well,
I
Longman has come in, hasn't he now?
he,
Although I
he
don't
has, and I would much prefer us to have one. I just mean that there's like a further for like
yeah,
one. Everybody expects us to get one, and some people even want us to get two. And I think you need to rule two out personally.
yeah.
But I think what one recruitment there, and Longman, if he's going to play as an attacking midfielder, or maybe he goes on the wing and McLean comes in as the attacking midfielder. It's we might not necessarily get that other striker, might be the way we're playing in this formation.
Yeah. I think I think, and I'm not saying this on the basis of knowledge. I think he's may well be looking for another striker, but like you say, I agree completely. It's not going to be a disaster if we don't, because we've got, I've mentioned those. We've got Mofal as well. We've got a lot of good players who can play up front,
Yeah,
plus the option of Lee playing off. Um, I think Longman is, well, he's been playing wide in attack or wide sort of wing back for Hull. So it'll be interesting to see just how we accommodate him. And I think that idea of McLean stepping in to be another central midfield option is interesting. But then, of course, we do have some rather good central midfield options. I mean, Andy Cannon couldn't get in the team. Elliot Lee wasn't playing in midfield yesterday. James Jones can't get on the bench. We've got a lot of good midfielders, haven't we? George Evans can't get on the bench.
Yeah.
I could
And
go
as
on.
you say, where is he going to fit into the side if he's playing
Mm,
on the wing? But that's
very interesting,
interesting.
wasn't it? Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what.
And
Any more points on Birmingham, or should we move on to actually Mr. Longman and have a chat about that and what else we might look for?
I do just want to reiterate like that I was a bit disappointed, but that was a hell of a performance in a hell of a game for us as a club. A milestone, I think, wasn't it, Andy?
yeah, yeah, very much so. And you said, going back to where we were 2 years ago, to actually hold a team like that in the league
Mm,
with that amount of money they spent, which is a lot more than we've got. What more can we ask for? I
exactly.
suppose Fletcher to head the winner, but other than that,
Yeah, fair enough. But they spent all that money on defenders. It's only reasonable that one of them should do something excellent to stop him doing that, I guess. I don't
mm,
know. Well, I'll tell you what, after this, we'll have a little chat about, well, Wrexham's recruitment and whether we should look for any more. Yeah, so great performance against Birmingham, got us all going again. We've got a new player as well, Ryan Longman. Any initial thought? We haven't seen him play for Wrexham yet. Any initial reactions to that? It feels like he's got pedigree, over 100 games in the Championship.
yeah. My only thing is, where are we going to play him? Who do we drop?
Yeah, yeah,
I know I've always been surprised about Phil Parkinson's tactics that players like that tend to come in. They normally for 6 weeks or something. They tend to have a long lead time before they really become,
yeah.
value. I think he brings them in slowly, but yeah, we'll just have to see what happens because George Evans has took a long time to settle, and we'll
Mm.
see what happens. But yeah, are we going to actually see some depart? I've also noticed Dolby has signed for Dundee.
Well, we've
Again,
extended his loan, haven't we?
yeah. So
Am I right? Because I must admit this happened today. I've not had a chance to look properly, but am I right in thinking we've extended his loan, but we've also offered him a new contract? Is that the case?
That is the case. He's
Mm.
not signed it, and apparently we offered it in before the winter. So
Okay.
it's not him saying no, but I suppose that's him just weighing his options up, isn't it? Which is more than fair if you're coming towards the end of a contract.
Mm.
Um, he's done brilliantly for Dundee United, so it, take the football side out. It'd be nice on a personal level to see Sam Dalby go and do something, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah, he's a good bloke, and he's played very well for us. I'd love to see him find some success, but I'd love to see him find success with us as well. I'd be very happy if it ends up with him staying with us. That'd be terrific. But yeah, I mean, Bodvarsson has gone as well. That's cleared up a space in the squad list as well. But like I said, will there be any more players coming in? That's the intriguing question, isn't it? Really big.
Matty Jones wasn't Matt in plays in midfield? Wasn't he
James,
on a very short term contract?
he signed an extension, isn't he? If I remember
Yeah.
correctly. Yeah. So yeah, so he's signed an extension now. I mean, he's a class act, isn't he? Good job, good job. He's committed to us. I thought he was good in the second half yesterday. I really enjoyed the way that he
Yeah.
was, he was getting about them.
Matty Jones, yeah.
Some of his immediate passing, when they were penned in, just to switch it out, seeing a player like Barnett with space on the wing and just banging it straight out to them quickly. He's got quality. I really love Matty James. He's a really high quality player and a superb signing.
Yeah. And again, that's Parkinson's brilliance, really. What more can you say? He went out, found him, brought him in.
When nobody else
So,
had gone for
yeah,
him as well,
yeah.
which I find a
So
bit
it's
crazy, but I'm happy.
Yeah, very.
I also see Mendy signed a contract as well.
Yes, that's interesting, isn't it? Um,
Uh,
I'm glad to see
he
it.
was probably on my list that might leave, but
Yeah.
Mm.
you know, not because he's not a bad player. It's just like we've got loads of good players at the moment.
Mm. And we've got a lot of good options out wide, which comes back to what you're saying about Longman, but
Mm,
where we fit him in could be interesting because look at the wing back options we got. We got apart from McLean and Barnett, we've got Revan who can play on either side. We've got Mendy as well. We still have Anthony Ford. It should be pointed out as well. We could put him
mm,
back into the squad. We've got a lot of options out there in those wide positions. Aaron James has played there too, and I like the way Aaron
mm.
James has developed this season as well. And in the Virtue Trophy, we got a
And
heck of a lot of options.
Aaron
So, yeah,
James doesn't cost to. Aaron James won't cost towards the squad either, will he? So
no,
if we're ever in a pinch, he can just sort of step in, no
yeah.
problem.
Exactly so. So it is quite interesting to see Mendy being rewarded, but it's nice. I liked what Parkinson said about him being a player that he's had problems with injuries, but he feels we're getting him back to where he was, and that's a nice, encouraging thing to say. And
Mm.
I like Mendy.
Yeah,
So
me
it's
too.
nice to see us backing him.
And also, I am just reading the website. Marriott has signed as well. So whether that
Yeah.
was yesterday or the day before. So yeah, people talk about a new striker, but do we really need one? I don't know.
Marriott, he's done well. He's earned that opportunity, hasn't he? Fair play to him.
Mm,
It's what's really nice about what the club are doing, and just from our like recent history, us being in a position where we're financially able to sort of reward players with a bit of loyalty.
Yeah.
Mate, I hope that came out the right way because obviously they're showing loyalty to us by not running down contracts and disappearing. But um, fair play to them. They were both those players are working hard for the club. They might not always be first choice. They might not even get much game time if
Mm.
Mullen and McLean are playing really well and they're on a run. But they're willing to sort of sign for another year and play for us, which is great.
Exactly.
mm,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Now Longman. I just think he looks very interesting to me. You look at his stats: right-footed, plays either side, um, strong in the air, good crosser, likes a long shot. His defensive stats are good, which is again lending faith the idea that he may be used as a wide defender, perhaps. Um, and his sort of progressive passing stats aren't that great, and his finishing stats aren't all that great. So you know, he the data reads like a wing back, to be honest,
Mm.
or a wide striker. I am absolutely intrigued to see. But then the thing is, for me, this is what we do in our situation. Like you said, Andy, with Wrexham, we'll bring in a player and you think, well, where's he going to fit in? And then you see where he fits in. Maybe
Mm.
after a while of settling in and training with us, like George Evans or indeed Ryan Barnes, who they didn't come into the team straight away. They got assimilated first. And then when you see them playing, you're thinking, oh, hello, this guy's tasty. It makes me think, of course, of El Chidente at Barcelona when they brought Neymar in. Because I know we're all thinking Ryan Luckman, Neymar, same basic thing. Longman, not Luckman. We haven't bought Luckman. But you sort of think, well, three similar strikers who probably aren't going to work back that much. Ooh, you sure? And then you see them playing together and you think, yeah, why did I doubt that? If you bring quality players in, you're just going to raise the standard of everything anyway, aren't you?
Mm.
Yeah. Maybe it is that sort of future planning that we're looking at. Well, obviously, we're signing championship quality players because that's where we want to be next.
Yeah.
But to see them coming in, perhaps he's thinking, oh, we'll have this 6 months as we get through this season, and then in the summer there will be players coming in and going out. Different conversation, but maybe he's already thinking, well, that player isn't quite good enough for the championship. But
Mm.
that's just the way Phil is, I think.
And like you say, future proofing in terms of bringing in a player who is experienced in the championship, who maybe is ready made for if we go up. It's in Parky we trust. I reckon that's our conclusion, isn't it?
Well,
I, I do
yeah.
think maybe one thing is that when we play the formation that we're playing, when we were playing against, I think it was Northampton or whoever it was the first game that we did it.
Mm.
Started like a lot like how we played against Birmingham, where it was like a diamond sort of middle with Lee sort of playing just off the striker like he did for the entire game against Birmingham, but he drifted to the left at one point. It was almost like a
Mm.
box where there was two defensive midfielders in Dobson and James, and then there was uh, Lee and Rathbone, I think it would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they both sort of swap positions and stay high up there. Maybe he's seen as like a sort of a player that can do that role just because
Yeah.
he can play on the wing and he can play in the middle.
Mm.
So it might be that he doesn't always necessarily start, but comes into a game to shore us up a bit defensively. Who knows? I'm really really intrigued to see
Yeah.
what he's going to be like.
I think it's very interesting, really, really interesting. But it looks like he'd be something a little bit different, something we haven't quite got. We haven't really got a sort of wide striker because we don't play with wide strikers,
Mm.
understandably. But those attributes are a little different from what we have. And even if we don't play him in that role, I'm fascinated to see what
Maybe
exactly we do.
Mm. Same
he
here.
may have been available. So, if good players aren't always available, perhaps that was some of the thinking behind it. And, we don't
Yeah,
play four in the midfield, but I think he'd be good on either side of a four, but we
yeah,
don't do it. It's the
yeah,
only time I've seen four in midfield. It's when things are going wrong, and it's a pressure tactic from Parkinson.
yeah, yeah, exactly. No, it's intriguing. We did go in for him in the summer, apparently. So he has been on the radar. And to be fair, I think that's how we operate now. We have long lists, and instead of certain players who, if they come on the market, we're going to go after. Um, and so he's somebody that we've looked at for a while, and he's been part of our thinking, even if obviously it could have gone differently. We'd gone from one of the other people in that role, but I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated. He has a bit of a feel of the Ryan Barnett signing about him to me, and I'm really intrigued to see how he stands up. Anyway, shall we move on? Have a little break, and then we'll chat about other matters. Women's game on Sunday, which was a heartbreaker, um, and I don't know. Maybe we'll test our Parkinson's knowledge of the other Parkinson. Hello there, everybody. If you're watching the video now, you'll be able to see that I'm joined by Bill and an empty room called Andy because he ran away. I said about, testing him. He ran away, everybody. Shocking, isn't it? Well, what can I say? Let's move on anyway. Because, Bill, the women's team, I mean, it was just gutting. Semi final of the trophy last Sunday. Fourth time in a row, we've lost 3-2 to Swansea. We also drew 3-all with them last season as well. I mean, they're amazing games to watch. There's always late drama as well in all of them. But we always just don't quite manage it. I mean, am I right in just worrying that even though I'm really happy with our performances, that there comes a point where the players will almost be thinking, well, something's going to go wrong in a minute because something always goes wrong with Swansea.
Mm. That's a that's a phenomenally annoying stat, isn't it?
Mm,
3-2 4 times in a row.
yeah.
Yeah. How do you think the mood is around the squad around that? Do you think there's something to it, or is it just one of those absolute freak things that happen?
I think there's something to it in the sense that have got a lot of very good players. I know that sounds
Mm,
simplistic, but Swansea and Cardiff last year were stronger than everybody else. We were very much the third best. No one else was anywhere near us. This season, actually, to be fair, Swansea are probably in a battle with us to be fourth, but they've got some very, very good players and experienced players who will come up trumps at one end or the other when in a crunch
mm,
situation. So it's no coincidence that they find a way to win games. I have a lot of respect for them, but it's also, I think, there's an element of misfortune. I mean, we keep playing well against Swansea and Cardiff, and we both watching the football to know that logic dictates that if you play okay, well, in Swansea's case, I would say in the last this season and last, what, 5 games where it's been pretty much 50-50, to lose 4 of them is very unfortunate. Cardiff
mm,
is completely, we've lost them, although there've been fewer 50-50 games, to be fair. But the Swansea games have been very competitive, and then we've gone and, oh man, something happens. In
mm,
this game, it was a case of us going 2-0 down, didn't deserve to. We had some luck because Karen Allen, I thought, probably should have been sent off after about 20 minutes for a professional foul. Ref didn't give a foul. Um, but then we get a goal back, and it was a little bit like the Birmingham game. We've got some real momentum going. We were going at them. It's 2-1. There's 10 minutes left, plus bound to be a lot of added time. And you're thinking, we're in here. And oh, we let in a bad goal. It was,
mm,
a bad cross, and we didn't deal with it. Shouldn't have been a goal, and it was. And even then, you think that's a punch in the guts. We still came back at them, still got a goal back, and just couldn't find that final one. Their keeper made some great saves. Ah, it was just cruel. I'm telling you. And at the end, and this is what worried me a little bit. I mean, naturally, the players were so deflated and gutted at the end. They
mm.
usually you can see their body language is sort of fairly positive afterwards. They bounce back, but they were on the floor. They were gutted. They knew they'd thrown everything at them, and then somehow they'd come away with the win. Um, and I just don't want them to start thinking, "Oh, this inevitably happens now," because it isn't inevitable, and we showed a lot of good quality. Um, Eva Suckley, who's been really playing well, wasn't able to play. She was injured. So I don't think it's a major injury, but I think it was a shame she couldn't because she's been good.
Mm.
Abby Iddenden, who I always rave about, came off the bench. So that was good news because she's back from injury. But obviously, she did have 90 minutes in her. She made a difference when she came on. And you just think, yeah, if those two had been fit to start as well, we probably would have been on top of them. It's just, yeah, you just need that win. We just need to do it
Mm.
against one of those big teams. And I don't want it to become a thing. You know what I mean?
It's when you're in those sort of situations, you need just that one result against. I think a result against Swansea will make our performances against Cardiff better as well, won't it? Because it's just
Yeah.
that one game that gives you the bit of belief.
Mm.
Um, that's a massive shame, Mark. I mean, but it's still consolidating in this division, and I think people see what the men have done and don't quite put into perspective how unusual that is in football, and the same sort of pressure shouldn't be put on the women to have that kind of mad rise straight through everything.
And as you're dead right, and also I would argue we have done superbly, and a season of consolidation is not a disaster.
No,
We
absolutely
could still
not.
get in the top four. It's not impossible. And we are still in the quarterfinals of the Welsh Cup, having got to the semi-finals of the League Cup. So, we this is a good season. It's just threatening to not quite be last season. But
Mm.
they're definitely finishing third and fifth isn't immense, I would argue. Um, the thing is, that quarter-final of the Welsh Cup is a home to Swansea, of course. I mean, I'll tell you what,
Naturally, yeah.
I need to campaign for 3 weeks just to make sure there's a lot of people there. Do my bit because honestly, Wrexham
Yeah.
v Swansea equals box office. I mean, they're tremendous games, and
What's the date of that game then? I'm
it's
assuming it's the
3 weeks
Rock.
on Sunday, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then we go down to Swansea for our last league game of the first phase, which could be a playoff for 4th place. But it'd be. I mean, that Cup game is going to be something. There's no question about that. It's going to be epic.
Law of averages there says surely that we'll win one of those games, or at least get a draw in one of those
Oh, wouldn't
games.
you? Yeah. You would
Um,
hope so.
yeah, it's always frustrating as a football fan that when you have a team that's got a hoodoo on you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you would hope so. I've got to say as well, maybe the best atmosphere I've experienced at the Rock.
Oh, really? Oh, that's
Yeah,
good.
the crowd were really in the game. The crowds are slightly different between the men's and the women's games. And as well, it's smaller numbers, those superb numbers for Welsh football, male or female. Um, but having said that, yeah, it was the crowd really got into it and were really pushing the team on, and that was fantastic. And it'd just be great if we get maybe just a few more for the quarter final and really go in for them. But I got a lot of respect for Swansea. They're a good team, and they got some nice players as well. But whoa, we were good. So Cardiff met away on Sunday, which is, I mean, they're bottom of the league. They've got 1 point so far this season, and we just got to go there and be ruthless and
Yeah.
make sure, because as I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, that we've got on paper next two games away to Cardiff Met, now home to Aberystwyth, so we're up against the two bottom teams. So we've got to cash in fully on that. If we don't, I think we can forget about fourth place, frankly. Swansea are 5 points clear of us, but they, after this Sunday, are playing Britain Ferry, who've already beaten them, and TNS. So they've got two tough games. So hopefully we can go into that last game with something to play for. But man, it was an experience, so it was exciting. Oh, look how Andy's come back. Hello, old boy.
Yeah, sorry, well, the disadvantages of small children, or the advantages.
Well, bad timing by you. Shall we round off the show with Parky or Pope?
Yeah, why
I
not?
think we should. It's time, everyone, for the game sensation that's sweeping the nation. Parky or Pope? Insert theme tune here. Right, so I'll give you 5 sentences. They are going to be either quotes by Phil Parkinson or quotes by a pope. Could be a current pope, could be a past pope. It's unlikely to be a future pope. Who knows? Which pope or Parkinson will it be? Andy, you must channel your inner Parkinson and work out. Is it Parky or Pope?
Your chance. Parkinson, what could it be?
Right, number one. We all knew this was going to be a tough journey. Parkinson or Pope?
Parkinson.
Oh, damn, he's got it right. 1-0. Fair play. Okay. Number two. That's what experience does for you. It makes you better at dealing with situations of adversity. Parkinson
Oh,
or Pope?
oh,
Pope, are you in Pope?
I'm going Pope.
It's Parkinson. I'm so sorry. 1-1. Oh, that's beautiful.
Tell you what, I love these games when I'm not involved in them.
You only bought us home, Bill, remember? Okay, number three, the hump question. The ultimate test of your greatness is the way you treat every human being.
Well, that's got to be Pope.
Correct. It's Pope John Paul II, top Polish goalkeeper.
Yeah.
All right, 2-1, 2-1. You can clinch it with this question. Are you excited?
Yeah, it's a shootout and a half.
Oh, man, I tell you. Right. Mr. Bassini has got a lot of work to do. Look at
Might
his
have to take a run up at this.
Yeah, go on.
Mm-hmm.
For the game.
I'm going Pope. That's it. He shot it. It's into the corner.
He's gone Pope. Oh, it's hit the bar. It's Parkinson. Oh, right. In that case, see we are. It's a one-question shootout.
Who's Mr. Passimi?
Some bloke.
That's what threw me.
Was he at Sunderland or somewhere? But I thought Italian sounding name.
Good. That's hell. Fair play. Fair play.
I don't just throw this stuff together, you know. It takes literally seconds of planning. Right, okay. For the game, the one question shootout. Are you ready, Andy? I'll take that as a yes.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. Never ever give up on hope. Never doubt, never tire, and never become discouraged. Parkinson or Pope?
Mm. Could be said by either, couldn't it? It's tricky.
That's the point of the game, baby.
Oh, he's gone Parkinson.
He's gone Parkinson. The keeper dives and pushes it round the post. It was Pope John Paul II again. Oh, they'll be dancing in the streets of Vatican City. Oh, my word. I'm afraid you lost. Now, let's think. So Neil won his porcine test. Bill, you came out best in the which long's the best long.
Well, naturally.
And Andy, you failed in your Parkinson test. So I'm off to alter your birth certificate. In the meantime, well, I guess that's a great way to end the show, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
Having to admit defeat, as he has so often in all those years as a Wrexham fan.
Yeah. I'm going to throw away my program and storm out the car.
Nice one. Well, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys. And we'll catch up next week with even more Wrexham goodness as possible. It's been a pleasure.
Cheers, then. Bye.
Nice one. Cheers, Mark.
Adios, muchachos. Bye. This was Final Whistle Weekly. Oh, that was brilliant. Oh, hang on. I've not stopped recording. Shall I leave this bit in now? Just as a sort of, look how amateurish he is thing. I should, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get that. We get that anyway, Mark, don't we, in some way or another? So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You all know it. Why shouldn't everybody else? I had a terrible thing happen just before we started recording this when I realized, and I think you'll understand my horror, I realized that I can no longer impersonate New York State one-hit wonder Macy Gray. Do you remember her? She said, "I Lie." Do you remember that song? It was on the TV.
I remember
Macy Gray. Thing to be on. And I've always, if I've known one thing, it's that I am the world's premier Macy Gray impersonator. And I tried to sing along, and I did try, but it wasn't good. It was 8 out of 10, you know. But normally it's just, you know, I've had Macy Gray's family contact me to ask me to, you know, look after the cat while they're away on holiday, and then they realise it's me, not her. It was heartbreaking. It was. I'm trying to say goodbye and I choke. See, it's not quite there, is it? It's 8 out of 10, but it's not 10 out of 10. You know?
That's tickled me, that, Mark.
But I'm just a prisoner of your love. It's not quite there. I've also lost my ability to Eubank. Chris Eubank was a speciality of mine, and now I'm sadly. That's gone. I'm not even going to do that. That will come out badly. But I should probably stop recording this now and leave, shouldn't I?
Yeah, there's probably too much.
I think so, yeah.
You'll have to chop out bits around your eye and crying, but never mind.
I don't know. I think I'll be. I might when you two leave this call, I might start another one and just do some Macy Gray to it. You reckon? I'm dreaming of you, babe. Oh, see, that was 4 out of 10. That heartbreaking. See how a great man failed. Ozymandias, look on me in despair.